Oh, cheers, guys.
Right.
Anyway,
good
cheers.
to see you guys. Cheers. I'll do it with coffee. Can you cheers with coffee? Is that something you can do? Yeah. How was your run this morning? All right.
It was lovely. Yeah, it was really nice. It was a bit of a different one for me this morning because I was guiding Ollie for the first time, and I've not guided Ollie at all, and I've not guided anybody really for quite a while after I lost my hearing. That really knocked my confidence a little bit, and so I didn't really feel like I could look after people really anymore, and it's a bit of
responsibility.
it is, and I think when your own confidence has gone a little bit. I wasn't kind of even just running on my own was a completely different experience, and that kind of going out there and things that I could have seen and heard around me I didn't. So yeah, it was a different experience. So I'm really pleased that we kind of went out there and we had a few bumps and and bushes along the way, but it was good. It was nice to get back out there, and I think from your perspective, Rob, it kind of really brings it home to me again about from a visually impaired runner.
Yeah,
what a difference that makes.
It does. I mean, it's great. I mean, confidence is a big issue, especially. I mean, if you've got a disability like mine, which is more of a one that everyone can probably see, it's more of a tangible one. Also, any individual disabilities that people have, but confidence is one thing. I mean, Stu will know from guiding me as well and people, but confidence, especially when it's getting darker, you do get scared running around that you might hit a bush and things like that, and we've got a term for it. We call it hostile vegetation. So and then sometimes you just get a nod from people saying surface change, and this is the on the one hand it's banter, but it serves a very real purpose, and it does help my confidence, and it gives you faith.
So one thing I've noticed when we do park run, and there's 350, 450, there were 450 people there yesterday, and I did notice, and it's only when you mentioned it that you're very nervous at the start.
I am,
because you don't like being in the traffic.
No. Could you see me as well when I was there? Because you were near me, weren't you? But I am.
Well, no. I've been with you.
When I've been with you.
When you've actually said about the start.
Spatial awareness, is that what you're...
Yeah, what it is, I get very nervous. When you're being guided, or when I'm being guided, and obviously everything's different, it really throws me if someone starts running alongside me. So I've got a guide runner there, and if I've got somebody alongside me, because I think what I do subconsciously, I think I give things a bit of a wide berth. So I'm trying to follow a guide, I've got someone next to me. Sometimes you get they knock into your arms, and it just really throws me. And sometimes I go forward and hit the guide runner in front of me without, because there's too much for me, and I can only see through this. Everyone's eye condition's different. I can only see through my left eye, really. So yeah, it is being nervous, even at a park run. Get nervous, and this is one of the things that I think is in my mind for races. I mean, nothing's ever happened that's untoward in a race, so I don't know, but it's quite intimidating, that being at the start and whereas when I've done it, I've always enjoyed it. Yeah, it's just that barrier really.
Yeah. Can I ask you, so obviously your confidence in your running is obviously sort of like increase, I suppose, with
yes, definitely.
What about confidence in sort of like your personal life? Is that as running contributed to that? And,
yeah. I mean, at work, there's tasks that are quite difficult to do, and you need endurance, I suppose, to get through a number of tasks. And there's nothing better than doing that and going running at the end of the day on a Monday. And then you're thinking, well, look at what I've done now. I've done all that and I've gone running. And similarly, when you've got these difficult tasks to do, you think, come on, Rob, it's nothing compared to running up Mount Orton with a mast. So I think it has helped. I think it's seriously, I'd say, it's been life-changing for me being part of the Lions, because it does give you something that's a different dimension, different aspect of your life. And I'm now on the committee of the Lions, and I think that'll help change it again, because I feel for the first time like I'm starting to put something back. And Shelby and Stu, you guys, everyone's helped me so much over the years that I want to put something back. That's an important part of it as well.
I mean, from your perspective, Paul, obviously you've had an injury, haven't you, for a few months now. How does that make you feel when you kind of think about coming back to running and that kind of, we've just touched upon it before, you know, when we were chatting about you miss people around you, don't you?
Camaraderie, yeah. I mean, I was saying before, I often run with music, but it's having the people around you, just being part of the group. It's therapy in a way. So, yeah, itching to get back.
How does it feel? You know, you've been away now for quite a while.
It's hard because you see all the postings on Facebook and everything, and you kind of feel like you're missing out. But, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I will be back. It's just getting through this period.
And as a matter of interest, as being sort of in touch with the group through Facebook, and then obviously through Shelby and anybody else that may well be in touch with you. Do you feel, you know, you've not
You feel
isolated?
part of something, and
Yeah.
it's the banter that goes on in between injuries.
Yeah, that's right.
You do feel like you're part of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the key concerns, well, isn't it? That we want to make sure that if somebody is out, you know,
You're not forgotten.
we don't want them to be out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
How do you? It's quite challenging when you've got an injury, especially a long term. How do you sort of like, you know, get through it in terms of your spare time?
I found that I'm less motivated to do exercise when I'm not exercising, if you know what I mean. I mean, I could be swimming, I could be doing stuff on the treadmill and stuff, but
Yeah,
I feel like I need to be doing it all the time.
yeah.
It's hard, really, but I know I will be back, but it's
Yeah.
just trying to keep that motivation up, that it will be good. you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
things will improve.
when I was injured, I had plantar fasciitis. I got into reading because I thought, right, times that you know, it's part of my life I've missed out on was the reading, really, because there wasn't anything around when I was younger. Got a Kindle now, so I used to come and do a short walk with some people from the Lions, and then I'd sit in here in the pub and I'd read my Kindle with a pint or something, you know. And I know you're a musician as well, aren't you?
I play guitar, so that's kind of therapy for me as well.
Ever said, Paul?
You need to teach me Local Hero.
That's A minor.
That
chord.
I'll
is-
teach it myself and then I'll teach
Okay.
you.
Local
You've got to teach
hero.
it yourself after
Yeah,
those
it's-
videos we made.
Yeah, it was like when we had, was it in the lockdown we did all
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, just going back to lockdown, you know, that was a really strange environment for us as a running club, wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
we couldn't be together, and you know, I think everybody found different ways of still connecting, didn't they? And I think, you know, your music videos were just
I
inspirational.
really enjoyed doing that because it gave me something to focus on. Because I was stuck at home not working for 3 months.
yeah.
So it enabled me to sit down and just think about things and just put a video out every night of a different song.
Yeah.
And then you get all the responses coming back. Yeah, it's a good period, really.
I must admit, it was really weird lockdown. I don't know if I dealt with it the best way, but I went completely into myself. I didn't really engage with Facebook or anything, and I'm still coming out of that. You know, I still feel like I'm getting back to normal, like a lot of us are, really. But I think it's great that you did that, Paul, and you know, and the people were talking about your music videos. Ian Myers used to say to me, "Oh, have you heard Paul? He's amazing."
The thing is, I'm not somebody that would do karaoke.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite shy, really, inside. But being able to do it in my own space.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I mean, it really was fantastic. I mean, the whole period where we had the people were doing their own videos as well about the, you know, their story, their running journey, if you like.
Yeah,
And the
That
more
was-
they developed,
yeah.
the more
Gained
interesting.
momentum.
And I mean, some of the stories was just amazing.
Paul's story, Paul King particularly, you know, that was some people who came up with some hilarious stuff. There were loads more examples, but Paul's always stuck in my mind. You know, and it's just good to see, you know, we always try and talk on a group, but like when you get that opportunity to put something in front of the camera, you get some really interesting stuff, don't you? You know,
And I think it's interesting you're saying, Paul, about, you know, being quite shy. I'm an absolute introvert, and people will not say, and we've talked about this, haven't we,
Wouldn't
Rob?
think
You know,
it, you know, yeah.
and people don't see that side of me,
No,
and I
I
think
wouldn't have thought that.
no.
absolutely, you know, lockdown was actually quite good for me,
Yeah.
because I was like, I've got my own space, I've
Yeah,
got my own
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I don't kind of recharge through being in front of people at
No.
all. I love my running, and I find that even like you were saying, Paul, before about that music bit, even though you're running with a group, you still got something for yourself as well, and I think that's really important. And I think we've talked about this, Jonathan, haven't we? About when you're an introvert, but people don't see you as an introvert, it can be quite difficult.
Yeah,
and
because I'm probably similar to you that I'm an introvert, but people might not think that, possibly because of jobs that I do and stuff like that. But again, with COVID and that coming along, I found, don't get me wrong, I love running with the group and doing that, but then when they were just me and Stuart running, I enjoyed that because, and I think, it was one of those that probably brought me and Stuart closer together and that. And
not get rid of you now.
But it was that and just cement and, having that knowing that you could still run with certain people and that people wanted to do that. And that it had a purpose and you didn't feel isolated, but not that would have probably bothered me being an introvert, that I was quite, but I wouldn't have gone out running by myself. So it was that building up that confidence to say, well, come on, there's just the two of us to go out, and sometimes I know he goes off and runs fast and like an idiot on race and all that, but it was good just to have that. So it's like we're just doing it at a nice steady pace, and he hates the cold. That's one thing I learned from him. Useless in the cold.
Sometimes you want to run with a group, at times when you want to go on your own.
Yeah.
And that's where I like trail running. I've done some long trail runs in the lakes, and you're isolated, but you're part of something much bigger.
That's a little bit.
And I think for me as well that once with COVID, once we came back as a club and running in those bubbles, and I know we had concerns that but then stop isolating groups, if you will, or having cliques, and I know that was a really good step, but we had to work under the conditions set by the government, and I think again I think it's really good, and becoming a run leader I think has built my confidence in running and doing stuff like that, and running with those groups and having those familiar people sort of each week and building their confidence back as well, and I guess we don't, as a club sometimes I think we don't understand sort of that role that we play, and sort of bringing them back into the fold and bringing them back into running after 2 years of not being able to do anything and bringing it back, and I do think people, but it's just sometimes I don't think, like I say, I just don't think we understand the confidence building that we have for people that have been out of that.
Well, I remember doing my couch to 5K.
I was just gonna ask you about that, Paul.
Yeah. Because it wasn't all about the running, it was about the group meeting.
Yeah.
You had something in your diary, 6 o'clock or whatever on a Wednesday night, you were going to meet and run, and the run would be the run, whether it was a good one or a bad one, but it was just meeting everybody. It's fantastic, really.
Yeah, so is that sort of what, I know you obviously took part in the Couch to 5K, but is that what sort of spurred you on to want to complete the course and join in the longer runs, which,
Well, we did the Couch to 5K, and we used to sort of meet up periodically.
We did.
Long, so I thought it would be great to get into that side of the running, but it really was just a journey that I wanted to go through, and didn't know where it was going to take me. But
So, when you decided, and I'm going to ask Jonathan about this because it's something we've talked about, but when you saw that advert for, there's a running group out there and they're doing a Couch to 5K, how did you feel about making those first steps into joining us?
Well, there's a bit of a backstory really. That advert was forwarded to me by Pauline Nelson. I knew it was Pauline Nelson because we went to school together, and she forwarded that to me. But prior to that, I've photographed countless running events over the years, and I started to really enjoy the atmosphere that you got at the events. Even though I wasn't running, I was part of it because I was doing the photography. And I think something was kind of building up inside, thinking, I love the atmosphere of these events. And then one day I was on a Steve Cram event in the North East. I was doing the finish line, and this old chap came towards me, and he was running diagonally towards the fence, and he actually crashed into the fence over the finish line. And I went up to him and said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Sorry, I've got Parkinson's." He said, "Sometimes I trip up and do a forward roll." He said, "I just do it because it helps me." I thought, well, he's a pensioner with Parkinson's. He can run. I need to get off my backside and do something. Soon after I saw that advert for the Camps 5K.
Right, okay.
It's like destiny in a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you were destined for the Lions, Paul.
Destined.
Destined.
So Jonathan, like you obviously came to us in different circumstances. I'm thinking it's probably 9 years ago you came to join us, and you didn't come through the Character 5K group. So what was that for like? Because you were going through quite difficult times as well.
So I just gone through sort of like life-changing events, and it was one of those that I thought I need to do something so that I'm not just sitting at home festering, overthinking things, and just like, what do I do? And made that bold decision to thought, I do you know what, I'm going to start running. Had never run since leaving school, so I thought, right, I'm going to give this a go. So yeah, turned up and remember standing in the corner and seeing sort of like all these people thinking, OMG, and it was just like, just what are you doing? Remember being very proud of buying a £7 pair of trainers at the time, thinking, yes.
Must have been a while ago, mate.
I was like really proud of it. And then just standing there thinking, what are you doing? And it was just that. And then it was like, yeah, it's just me. I never remember speaking to you, Shelby, at the beginning. It's like, it'll be 5K. And at the time I'm thinking, oh my god, it's 5K, and it all seems like when you're not used to running that distance, like just sounding in 5K, it sounded a long way. And as we've spoken of before, Shelby, when you're saying, you say just do the warm, nice jog to the roundabout where I'm thinking, what kind of, I'm like, that in itself was sort of like, because of my level of fitness at the time, I'm thinking, Shatton's just getting there. But again, it was building all that confidence, and then my aim was never to do marathons, it was never to do like 10k races. And then you just got swept up into the whole sort of like, well, that sounds something like I might be able to do. And all the time I think inside it's because I can't do that. Yeah, I'll never be able to do the 10k. I'll never be able to do a half marathon.
That's what fit people do, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just like, I can't do it. And it was only through having the group and and probably even having friends that were going, come on, we'll go and do a 10k. And you're thinking, what are we doing? What are we doing? And it was like, but again, it builds up that confidence, and also like, why did I worry about 10k? And then stupidly it was like half marathon. It's like, oh yeah, let's go and do the first half marathon. I think my first half was in Blackpool, which at the time I ran by myself, and that was bizarre because you're so used to doing them when there was a group of you, and having that euphoria at the end, and well done. And then when you run a race and you're just by yourself, and you sort of like got to the finish, you're like, okay, what do I do now then? So it was like that, I've done a half, and then it's like, okay, there's nobody here to share that. But so there's that ups and downs and that roller coaster, but it was a sense of shit. And then when we got into marathons and getting into that, it was like, what am I doing? And I suppose you just feel as though you're in a different league then, because it was just like, and even now, like, people turn around to me and go, oh, so you're a marathon runner? And I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah, but you've done all these, and they class me as a marathon, but I don't class myself as a marathon runner.
That's the confidence thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You bring it back to that, and everybody has that doubt inside them about what they can achieve. And
I think what Jonathan's done is like what everybody gets into a fixed mindset, don't they? I can't run, I'm not a runner, I can only do 5k if I'm lucky, you know what I mean? And, well, when I say only 5k is a massive achievement in itself as well, but Jonathan's like grown, in his mindset. And one of my favourite pictures was Stuart and Jonathan running up this really muddy embankment during lockdown, and Stuart going he. That just said it all to me. I'm like, I love that.
My favourite Jonathan picture is the Robin one, but we're not going to go there. So Rob, for you, obviously, I still remember, and I've still got your email.
Yes.
When you emailed saying, I'm a visual impaired runner.
Yeah.
I want to get fit. I want to kind of go and do something. Can you help them?
We'll put it on this video, that email, if you've got it, maybe. Yeah,
I've still got that.
It'll be here.
Still got it. I still have that. So,
yeah.
How was that when you made that contact? Coming to a club, because I'll be honest, I wasn't keen on clubs. I'd been somewhere and didn't feel very welcomed, and I think it's quite a hard step, that, coming into a club.
It was difficult. At first, there's a phrase that I heard recently, which was the art of the possible, which is I didn't really know if it was possible for a visually impaired runner, and it was a chance conversation with a guy who was into running at the kitchen at work, and he said, oh, I'll email you this website. And so he emailed it, we run together. And I remember composing that email when I was on the 125 bus. And I looked through the list of people and I thought, oh, it says someone called Shelby who's a local guide, and you came at the top of the list. So I remember writing that. And I thought, I might not hear anything from this. Then I was on the bus again coming into Preston bus station, and Tim gave me a call.
Yeah.
And he said, Shelby's passed on your details. So I was like, oh, this is great. So, and then he literally said he could be around in a couple of days' time. So I was amazed. We had a little run around ours, and he said, there's this group that I'm in called the Lions, you know, come along. And then he said, he ran with me, and he said, I won't be here for the next 2 weeks because I'm skiing. But then Malcolm was a runner as well, Malcolm Alderton, and he's like, well, I can guide you, Rob. And I was like, it's absolutely amazing. And it turned out that I'd known, I'd had a chat with Denise, you know, as well. So it was nice to be in a group, and it was integrated really well, and I could tell it was a nice feeling to the group. And for me, I'd just run at the gym before that, really. So it was amazing to be able to actually run outside in the fresh air. And as a kid, I used to enjoy fell walking and did the Duke of Edinburgh's Awards, so this was another level for me, really. It was getting the fitness up from running, which I wanted to do, but being out and about. So, yeah, it was amazing, really. And so that was the first barrier, is it possible? And then, what is possible? So it's difficult because I built up to a really good level before lockdown. Then I got injured, a bit like Paul, and lost some fitness through that. And then it was lockdown, so I feel I've now stepped back a bit. And if I'm not careful, it's a confidence issue again. But I'm getting back up there. And
how does it feel? I mean, reflecting, how long is that now? It must be 3-4 years
about
now.
4 years, I think.
What's it done for you?
I think it's made a huge difference to my life. I can't remember a time practically now when I wasn't part of the Lions, but it's really nice to have a different group of people apart from your family and your work colleagues, you know, and a real different interest and hobby that you can get into. It's really helped my life. I mean, it's good to physically, you know, boost your fitness and have a goal, but it's good for the mental well-being as well, you know, to talk to people. And you know, that's absolutely, I think that's the most important challenge that everybody faces, really, the mental well-being and the barriers. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because obviously just going back to my journey and that, because I know, like I say, it was 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
But then because of work circumstances, I didn't run.
Yeah, I remember that. You disappeared.
For 18 months to 2 years, simply because I was just over the wrong side of the Pennines most of the time. With work. And then coming back, again, it was that confidence thing where I was always like, oh, I'll go on the short run. And it was always the case like, you're going long. And I guess it was nice that other people had that confidence in you, that you can do this. You know,
They can see it.
and they can see it, and I was like, no, I need to go short, because it was trying to go low, but it was like, why? He's like, you can do this, you've still got it. It was like, okay. And then once you've done that long run, it was a case like, do you know what? You know, it wasn't a bad, but I think it's just that, oh God, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to do this.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just that, oh,
going
I don't want to
along.
be the one. Yeah, it's just like, yeah,
You know I can do it.
Yeah. And it is that, and sometimes it is that, you know, you might have had a naff day at work and you're just thinking, you know what, I'm going to do the short run, because in your head you're thinking, but then when you go, come on, you're going long, you're like, oh, that's it. But by the time you finish, you're just like, you know, it was good to have that long run, because you just sorts your mind out and you can just, you know, put everything in play, and you're just like, do you know what? In the big scheme of things,
You get some
does that really
perspective,
matter?
don't
Yeah.
you?
Does that really matter? And you just be able to go, oh, and
I
you know.
think for me, you know, just chatting, I think one of the things that's definitely come out is that from the...
Oh, yeah, just crack on.
Yeah.
Crack on. Can you keep the volume slightly low? But
I think we're finished now.
2
Yeah.
minutes, then we'll have something to eat.
Yeah, I think for me, just sort of chatting and hearing everybody's stories, I think the thing that's really come out for me is that everybody has that confidence issue. It doesn't matter who you are, why. It could be because you're a visual impaired runner, you've got a hearing impairment because you've gone through something, because you've got injured, because you we've talked about this, you know, as a run leader or as a guide, you sometimes think, I went out this morning thinking, can I guide somebody over this distance? Wasn't sure. So I had real doubts, and I think the biggest thing is that everybody has issues with confidence at some point, and I think what the group does is enable you to kind of share in that and actually support you in that.
Just be honest and talk about it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I guess for you, Shelby, being sort of like the leader of the group, like, you know, there must be that additional pressure.
Yeah, there can be.
On you for certain
Right.
things,
Yeah.
and you know the responsibility of everyone. I mean, I know you've got help with the lead,
Yeah.
you know, the run leaders, but it's still at the end of the day, I guess Lions is your
Yeah, I mean, I think-
your thing, and for you, you know, there's that. It's like, is everybody okay? You know, making sure that you counted them out, you counted them in.
Yeah, don't lose
You know,
anybody.
have we lost anybody? And that. So, and I guess people don't see that.
What
No.
keeps you going?
Just, I'll be honest, running is not about me, and you know, we've had this discussion. I've been run leading for over 10 years, I've been volunteering for over 10 years, and it's never about anything for me. It just isn't. I like the fact that we come together as a group week on week, and that we see people grow, and we only see that because of the people that are in the club. It's not about one person at all. You know, we're quite a small local running club, but a bit of a pun, but I really think we've got pride in what we do, and we should have pride in what we do, because it isn't about one person. It's not about one person doing something or achieving something. For me, it is about days when you kind of go out and you see somebody achieving something. You know, Great North last week, Sammy went and did half marathon that she's been training for that day. Didn't go quite to plan, but we went and did it, and you know, Jonathan stuck with us, we ran together, and that for me is what the Lions is about.
That's exactly what it's about. It's about, you know, we've all done it. We've, you know, to use a better phrase, sacrifice our run to get somebody else to achieve something.
Yes, yeah.
Like, you know, one of the proudest moments so far, or this year for sure, was getting Jess through the half marathon at Southport. It was a fantastic achievement.
Yeah.
And you know, running with you on a 10k.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
great. Yeah.
For us, that's what we get out of
And
it. We don't get nothing else.
It's appreciated so much, honestly, Stu. And you know,
Just to get you out, Rob,
just
every
to
day.
get you know, just to you know, do a 10k and have someone, because you know sometimes that people who are guiding you could go faster and things, and sometimes you get a bit conscious, and then you have to remind yourself, well, they wouldn't do it if they didn't want to do that, you know.
And I think that is the Lions, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, and as Stuart said, you know, being asked to help, you know, you guys on a Monday and Wednesday do that. Yes, you sacrifice your run to that, but
You get something from it.
it's knowing that, you know, just encouraging somebody else to say, you know, just to get them up that hill.
Yeah.
You know, come on, you can do this, and then for somebody to turn around at the end of the run to go, thanks for that, I really needed that, and then you just go, and sometimes I'll go, I've not done
What did I
anything.
do? Yeah.
You know, and it's just that, I'll stand there sometimes and go, I haven't done anything and all that, but just to know that you know, that moment in time, you know, they were struggling and all that, that just got me up there, just by you saying, come on, we can just do that, just focus, and, you know, that helps, and you just think, it's worthwhile.
Anyway,
I
cheers to
think
the
that's
Lions,
it.
I guess.
Cheers to the
Oh,
Lions.
we're empty drinks.
Cheers.
Well,
Excellent.
didn't we do well?